Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Spotlight. I, of course, am Scott McMeans with Action Coach, and I am honored today to get two guys on the channel. We've got Ian Shirey and Korey Leonhard from Green Lending. Now, we've got two guys. They're going to tell their story. They're going to tell us a little bit about Green Lending. Now, we're going to get into the nitty gritty of what their business is all about and how they've become the successes that they are. So, gentlemen, I'll allow you to pick who goes first, whether you draw straws or flip a coin. Who wants to talk first and tell us your story? So the camera and the
I'm
microphone are turned
I'm the
over to
old
you.
guy. Yeah, I'm the older guy, so I got a little bit. Mine goes back a little bit longer, so I'll start. So yeah, my name's Ian Shirey. I've been in the mortgage industry. I got my start back in 2001. Pre the first collapse that took place. It was actually a
Fine.
buddy of mine that actually we're in conversations with today of him talking about joining the company, but it was a buddy of mine that we started way back, and we played college football together. And he got a job in the mortgage industry, and he started talking to me about like, man, you can make a lot of money in this. And the funny thing is it's still a lot of fun, while you're at it. And I had a degree in computer information systems, so I was like, I'm kind of techie. I don't know if mortgage will fit, but after a couple conversations, he convinced me to get into it, and I never looked back. I thank him for that every day of getting me into the business. I started off as a loan officer, and then through experience, probably over 8 to 10 years being in the business, I kind of moved over to the operations side of things because the technology piece kind of took over for me, and I wanted to be involved in that side of things. So I bounced back and forth a little bit between ops and sales. Was a branch manager at a couple local companies, and then really took on the ops role fully back in 2015 when I started working with Liberty Home Mortgage. Got a lot of experience there, and through that, it was just like, hey, everybody, I always had an aspiration of owning something of my own. I had been at the top end of a lot of the companies that I worked at, whether it be, second, third, fourth in charge, high up in the rank, but it was never, the final decision never came down to me or, my partners. I was always underneath someone. So, I just decided, just always had that thing internally of like, man, I think I could do this on my own. So that was when, that was just this year that we, really took the plunge. And Korey, myself, and Melissa, our third partner, we started some discussions, and that's where what landed us here at Green Lending.
Okay. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
College football. Where'd you play?
Youngstown State.
Fantastic. I know somebody went there. We'll talk about that later. Uh, and interesting that you took your original passion or skill set in techie stuff, as you say,
Yep.
and you worked your way through different operational and different mechanisms within home lending to get back to your skill set, which was the techie guy that puts together the operations. So it's an
Mm-hmm.
interesting career path. I think that's wonderful. And there's a lot of people that start under somebody and they end up branching out and doing their own. We'll talk about it when Korey's done, but think about what is it that was at Liberty that you liked? What was it at other places that you worked at that you liked? And then what is it that you made different in Green Lending to make it yours? Because I think what's interesting about being a business owner is you get to put your own thumbprint on things. And that's what's going to separate you from anybody else. Because one of the things we'll talk about is what makes Green Lending so different and unique and draws people to you. So what I want to do is get an understanding of not that you're better or worse than anybody else, but what is your thumbprint and what's it look like when you do your operations? Okay. And Korey, same thing. Let's talk through those things. Where did you start? And did you play college football somewhere? Because you look like you did.
I did not play college football. I did wrestle in college at Baldwin Wallace. So
Go
I started
Jackets.
working. What's that?
Go Jackets. I graduated from there as well.
No. But yeah, so I started in the industry right after college in 2011. It was actually mere chance. Also, a buddy of mine that I wrestled with in college was working at Quicken Loans at the time. I saw him at a bar in Lakewood and was chatting with him. I was graduating in a couple months, had no idea what I wanted to do because, like a lot of wrestlers, wrestling was the only thing I thought about for the last 12 plus years of my life. So He referred me into Quicken. I went, interviewed, didn't have a whole lot of confidence that I would start out very good, as I had no sales experience and didn't really consider myself a savant in that area. So started out, luckily it was a environment that if you grinded enough and if you were coachable and you could pick up things, you could move up pretty quickly. So I became a top banker at Quicken Loans. I was a director for a couple years there as well. And similar to, I think, Ian and a lot of other business owners, I just, had an itch to want to continue to grow and expand my career. I felt like I reached a ceiling at Quicken Loans. So left there at the very end of 2016. Bounced around to a couple of different places for a year and a half, not really finding the right fit. When I came to Liberty and started working with Ian and Melissa in 2018, started growing a branch there that grew to the largest branch in the company, where we were making up about half the company's production. And again, similar to them, I just, I felt like I wanted something more. I wanted to build something myself, with Ian and Melissa once we started talking, more than just, my branch. I felt like we were kind of outgrowing the company a little bit. So started talking, and here we are now.
I love the story. I love the story. So what is it that you would say is unique about green lending? And hear me out, because both of you have said you started your career in this business because a friend told you about it, right? So I would assume, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is an industry that has a lot of friendships, a lot of relationships. Do they stick around as long as one would think, or are there severed, burned bridges across the way that forces you to start your own business? How does that work?
Well, I mean, speaking for myself, relationships have been huge over the years. And every friendship varies, and I've definitely seen bridges burnt in the industry. But one of the things we're really proud of is that every single person that worked for me in my 20 to 25 person branch at Liberty, every single person came with me. We didn't lose a single person. And I think that was really just a testament to the relationships that we had. There's people in our office I've been friends with since college, people that I've known for 10 years. I worked with back at Quicken Loans, that I was their first manager there. People that, I know would run through a brick wall for us, and vice versa. So they, trust us a lot with, their futures and careers, and we're willing to take a leap with us. And, relationships, I think, is everything, especially in an industry where there's a lot of ups and downs, and you have to be able to rely on the people that you're working with a ton.
Yeah. I love the idea that what you just said, because relationships are everything, and the trust factor is big. You brought a large collection of people over with you, which is another testament to what you're doing. Ian, you were going to say something?
Well, I was just going to, double up or double down on that, I guess. One thing that, we really have learned through this whole, endeavor, I mean, we just incorporated back in, mid-April. So it's been a roller coaster of a ride, but those relationships that we've built over the last, me, Melissa, over the last 20 years being in the industry, they became so clutch. Because, anytime there's a new organization starting out and you're approaching warehouse lenders, investors, just all the different pieces that go into mortgage lending, and trying to convince them to take a jump, just take the plunge and give you a shot and sign up and agree to buy loans from you and get HUD to, approve you to do FHA, and, just all the inner workings. There was a lot of relationships that, we've built throughout the last 20 years that went a long way and helping us get approved and be able to get us up and running as quickly as we did.
Okay, that's great to hear, because that tells me your track record is pretty sound, your reputation is solid, and your results are strong enough that people want to keep coming back to you and use you for their vehicle to get either a mortgage done, a house closed, whatever the case may be. So it's a good testament to you two and Melissa as well, that you keep people close and you allow your relationships to flourish. That's a huge piece. So as we get deeper into what makes you guys different, I want to know what's so special about green lending. What's your thumbprint?
So I think from a client perspective, because there's a lot of perspectives that you can look at between, whether it's a team member that works here or whether it's a client perspective. Speaking for the client perspective, it's really the quality and focus that we have to not just improve our process so things are smooth, but so our loan advisors who are, advising clients every single day, they're truly advising them. Most companies, their title for a loan officer is just that, a loan officer. We title our loan officers, as loan advisors, because I've always drilled into my guys' heads that you have to advise clients to what the best path is. The best people in this industry are the people that can teach and educate a client. And maybe there's something that the client thought that they wanted up front, but it may not be the best path for them. And showing them another route and advising them and building that trust, that's what makes for long-term careers in the mortgage industry on the sales side of things. So rather than just taking the approach of, checking a few boxes off, asking questions, getting them answered, and then saying, here's your loan, which I'm sure, if anybody's bought a home or refinanced, they've had that conversation where you can't wait for it to end. You're just answering question after question, and then suddenly you just have some disclosures, in your email, and you're trying to decipher through that.
True. I think we've all experienced that far too many times, that the experience is never smooth. It's never stress-free, at least the experiences I've been through. But then again, I haven't used green lending, so I don't know. You made comment about there's other ways to differentiate. So there's the client perspective. And then you said something about the internal processes that you guys use. I want to drill a little bit deeper into that. What is it about the process at Green Lending that makes it special? And I'm assuming, Ian, you have a very heavy hand in how this was put together because of your skill set.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, one thing I've got to give props out is to our buddy Jake, who's been really helping us out on the technology side of things, because there's a lot of software that's out there that a lot of originators use. There's big ones out there like Encompass. That's I think they have 60% of the market is on that loan origination software. But one thing in building Green Lending that we came across is there was a bunch of different software platforms that this one did this well but didn't do that, or that one did this well and didn't text well, or whatever those little minuscule little things that you deal with. Well, Jake has actually come together and he's built out it's our CRM, it's our dialer, it's helping out with our lead nurturing, and he's built this thing just completely to our specifications. So it's not, man, I wish it did this, or man, I wish it did that. It's go to him and say, I wish it would do this, and he makes it happen. And we've already seen significant jumps in our production just in the short time that we've been open, having that ability to be able to have that custom catered software for us.
I love it. So that's the separator, right? You make things easier for your team internally to do their job. You make it easier for a client to go through the process, so they want to work with you. Any other separators or differentiators that you like to brag about?
And I guess just to piggyback a little bit on the processes, when it comes to the client's perspective, we are anti-red tape to the highest degree. If there's a way that we can get a loan done, which every lender has to abide by some government guidelines, whether you're doing an FHA loan, a Fannie Mae loan, a VA loan, there's some guidelines that I'm sorry, just nobody can get past. But if there's any subjectivity around it, if there's a way to figure it out, we have a lot of pride in figuring it out. And also, being able to rush something. I'm the president of the company. I work out on the floor next to the loan advisors. I'm originating loans myself for referral partners still. So I'm in the trenches with them. If they have a situation that, hey, this client needs X, Y, or Z done, it's a weird situation. They're not, going through 7 different layers of management. They're going to myself, to Ian, to our other partner, Melissa. And we always have a mentality of, how can we get it done, where a lot of other companies will be, why shouldn't we do this? Why shouldn't we approve this? Which I think just, helps the process go a lot smoother and a lot faster compared to your typical big box bank lender.
That is a great commercial, and we'll frame that for you, because the moniker of the anti-red tape home mortgage loan company is a perfect moniker for what you want to do, especially since green lending, green is the opposite of red on the wheel.
I like it.
So That's a great one, because honestly, when you go through the process as a client, as a consumer, it's like I said before, it's never stress-free. But if you can be the anti-red tape company that brings things to the table in a quick fashion, I think you're going to be stellar. People are going to love you for what you can do. As
And
we
then,
drive, go ahead.
oh, I was going to say, I guess, another important part, which I mean, every company will say that the most crucial part of their company or separator is their culture. But it's important to us, and me especially, to develop a culture that is more than just words on a wall or words on in an email or sayings, but it's something that I learned a lot, and give credit to my time at Quicken, where they were very, very focused on developing a culture. And looking back at it, I can't imagine how you have a company with 10,000 people and still maintain a consistent culture. So us starting with a core set of values was very important to us. So between myself, Ian, Melissa, and actually a lot of our loan advisors and processors, they chipped in as well, developing a core set of 10 green standards, is what we call them. So just a couple examples would be fail fast and pivot faster. I've always been a big believer in trying new things, and if it doesn't work, then you have to pivot out of it. But the quicker you try something, the quicker that you test a new lead source, or test a new way of processing, or test a new way of hiring or onboarding people or training, the faster that you get to that end result that is better, that you continue to improve.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So those little
the
things
concept
are,
of, I'm sorry?
I just said those little things are crucial for us to continue to develop and never be complacent.
100%. It's matter of you, it was a great segue, because the next question was going to be about culture. How do you establish a culture? How do you maintain a culture? You're relatively new as a business, but culture is one of the single most important things any business can have. It will either make or break you. It could separate you from your competition or separate you from your workforce. Culture is a big key, and I give you credit for establishing 10 green standards. That's fantastic. And the one that you have, fail fast, pivot faster, that's a really good one. I want to get the other 9. What's that, Ian?
Mine's from my favorite one is like what, Lego the ego, but it's ego.
Even better, because ego is the biggest damaging factor to any business. As a business owner, if you have an ego,
just mentioned staying close to that company culture and staying close to your employees. And I think one thing that's really broken down company culture over the last 3 to 4 years, and blame it on COVID, is remote work. It's really, really hard to establish and keep that culture when you do have remote workers. And I'm not saying anything against remote work. I think there's definitely a time and place for everything. But the one thing that we've really established off the bat is all of our workers were all in the office all the time right now. We do like to say that everybody has a home life balance, a work life balance, and we let people have their time off and get out of those. And they need to leave early, they can leave early. It's not like they're chained to their desk or anything. But I think that goes a long way with that. That culture side of it is just being together and working together and taking that time away together and going out and grilling a hot dog on the grill outside, and everybody just being able to get away for a half an hour and eat together. I think that goes a long way on company culture.
I would agree with you. And one of the things that I've been challenged with is clients of mine have asked, do I bring my people back from working remotely? And my comment has always been, do you think they're more or less productive when they're here or when they're at home? And the answer is, most people will say, well, all my employees say they're so much more productive when they work from home. Mm-hmm. They're more productive for whom? They're more productive for themselves, because they're doing their laundry, they're washing their dishes, they're organizing their house while they're on a conference call. So the productivity isn't necessarily for you, it's for themselves. And that's great. And as you said, Ian, you want to have a balance, but sometimes the most productivity you're going to get is the team environment, when they're all together rowing on the same boat in the same direction. It's hard to do that when they're in 5 to 10 different locations across the city. It's just the way it works. So there is a value in working from home. And I do agree that remote working does have its value, but we need to be very comfortable with people working from home, because their productivity is going to be a direct result of their engagement. right?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about some of the biggest opportunities that you have coming up. You're relatively new. Green lending is on the rise. You're going to be doing X amount of business in the next so many months to years. Where do you see the biggest opportunity for green lending?
So I think generally it's building our brand and brand awareness. Something that we have talked about, we didn't get a chance to do at previous employers, is have a hand in growing that brand in intangible ways. Something we did right away. We signed a partnership as the exclusive mortgage lender for Kent State. We're in talks with another university in the state as well to start sponsoring them. So we know that it's an investment up front, that it's not like we're spending $10,000 on leads, and we know that we're going to turn those leads to our loan advisors, and they're going to convert them into closings and have revenue. But it's more of a long-term play. So that brand awareness, I think, is just a huge opportunity for us in the area to use, not just for for business, for clients to draw their attention, but also for recruiting too. It's important for us to build an organic loan advisor team that's growing with local talent, kids out of college that we want to grow from the ground up and teach them the right way to do the business. We've already hired a couple people to that effect, and we'll continue to do so with Kent State and hopefully other university that we may partner with. So I think
I love that.
Important for us.
Your vision for spending the money to do this is an investment. And that's where most people kind of fail on the marketing side, because they think of it as an expense. The mathematics, right? What's your close rate? How many people did you call today? Do the math. That's how many people you got to become a customer today, right? When you look at it from a perspective of an investment in the long-term play, being an endorsed vendor for Kent State, you've got 40,000 kids graduating every day or every year out of that university that are now looking at you as, all right, that sounds like a really good idea. I'll probably go with that. The more and more you extend your brand, the more and more you're going to get eyes on you. Continue that investment as long as it's viable. But the investment in marketing is better than thinking of it as the expense in marketing. So I give you guys tons of credit for thinking that way.
Thanks. I like that.
Definitely not a bad perk to be able to take a lot of our team members to games, and we're doing a couple sponsorships of like halftime giveaways and things like that. So it'll be nice to meet with them too. We'll have planned events with some of the coaches at Kent State. I'm actually going to talk to the girls softball team in a couple of weeks as well, just to try to educate them on different like financial literacy topics. So we want to be involved and give back too in the partnership as well.
That is a huge component, and I appreciate you bringing that up, because giving back in a mutual relationship with Kent State is only the beginning, because there's a lot of people, regardless of the degree, that graduate from that university that are illiterate when it comes to finances and how to manage their own home and how to manage their own checkbook. So those things not only are going to be a good service that you do to the community, but it's going to help everybody learn how to be better financial planners or financial performers in their own world. So I give you guys tons of credit. That's huge. Yeah, that's really big.
That piece. Like, that's definitely going to be a lot of fun, being able to go down and interact, especially both of us coming up through college athletics, to be able to go get back and get around the locker room and hanging out with everybody and educate them a little bit. We're excited for that.
And you should be, because that's gonna separate you from a lot of people. And I'm glad we waited to the end, because the other things I don't want to miss out on, as far as your anti-red tape, your 10 green standards, your client perspective, and the process that you guys do, those are true separations between you and everybody else. You've just, I wouldn't say dropped a bomb, but you lit a fuse on a pretty good one here, that you are an endorsed vendor of Kent State, and you're looking at other universities as well. So kudos to you on that. What I want to talk about, what lessons or what information would you give somebody that's going to start their business, a brand new entrepreneur, a brand new business owner? What advice would you give somebody that's going to start their own business?
I mean, me personally, just right off the rip, I would say nothing is going to happen as fast as you want it to. No matter no one is going to work at your pace. You know, it's a blessing to be able to have this pace that, you know, we have, you know, as, you know, that entrepreneurial mindset of, you know, I want to go out and do this. But, you know, sometimes, you know, the old adage of, you know, your greatest weakness is also, you know, your greatest asset at some time. So, you know, that push and wanting to, you know, push the pace and get things done as quickly as possible, it helps in a lot of ways, but it also keeps you up a lot at night when things aren't happening at the pace that you want them to. So having that acceptance of knowing that it's okay, you're still, just keep pushing, the job is going to get done. That's been a big piece over the last couple of months.
I can appreciate that.
As
Korey?
a side note to that, over the last few months, Ian and our partner Melissa have done almost all the legwork and getting things set up, because, you know, they're the people that know the compliance side, know the back end side, the license side, the getting approved with FHA, which was huge for us just a few weeks ago. And, you know, I've already talked to, you know, several, you know, third-party vendors that have mentioned that they have never seen a company move this quickly in their licensing approval, their warehouse lines, in their general setup, and moving to underwriting in-house. And it's 100% him and our partner, Melissa. So.
Yeah, thanks. We've talked a lot about it. Like, where, you know, you come in first thing in the morning and it's just not coming along as fast as what you want it to. But then, you know, taking a couple minutes to step back and, like, you know, think like, man, what we've built here actually took us, you know, 4 or 5 years to get to the level where we're at in 4 or 5 months at our prior organization that we worked at. So you got to take those little moments and, you know, kind of look back at the bigger picture and see how far you've actually come, because you're so far entrenched that, you know, you get caught up of, man, you just need this next thing that you're trying to work towards. But if you step back and look at it, you're like, man, we've come quite a ways in a couple months.
What do you think is the driving factor behind 4 or 5 years to build something somewhere else versus the 4 or 5 months that you've built relatively the same thing here? What is the difference?
Experience. You know, I of course, there's always going to be, when it's your own, you're, you know, probably working a little bit faster and you're a little bit more invested. But I would like to think, you know, at the prior places that we've all been at, that, you know, we give it our best, you know, give it our all. So I don't think, you know, we were working that much harder here than we were anywhere else, because I've committed to anywhere that I've worked. But it's just, then I hadn't done it before. Whereas here, we've done it once. So it was a little rusty, and we, you know, forgot some of the things. It was like, oh man, I forgot to do that. But that experience, and that, you know, that network of people around us to kind of corral behind us and help push us through, that helped a lot too.
Yeah. Sounds like we're going to go all the way back to full circle here. The relationships and friendships that you've forged over the years, and the experience you've had with those people and your clients and the system that you work within, has brought you to a really successful point where you know what you know what you don't know, and you know how to do what you need to do. Perfect. I love this conversation, gentlemen. I really appreciate it. Any last words for the audience before we head out?
You know, I would just say, as far as advice for any business owner or anybody even in their career looking for, you know, further growth, is that, you know, if you have enough belief in what you're doing, enough belief in yourself, and the effort that you're putting in, focus more on just doing the absolute best you possibly can. Don't limit yourself by putting a target on something that, if you meet it, you're completely satisfied. And if you don't, then you're completely crushed. You know, one of our standards is focus on process, learn from results. So the result can always teach you something, because it can help you backtrack and see where you went wrong or where you could have improved, even if that result was a good one. But if you have enough belief in yourself, then, you know, push forward and just, you know, do as much as you possibly can. And that's, you know, leave everything on the field, and, you know, that's all you can really do.
There it is. Leave it all on the field. Gentlemen, I love it. I want to thank you for your time. The lessons are spectacular, and the information you've given us truly gives us a clean picture of what green lending is all about and what you're going to be doing moving forward. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much for your time. Every information you need will be in the description down below. Get in touch with these guys. Make sure that you learn as much as you can about what they can do for you. And if you're looking for a home mortgage, this is the place to go. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Scott.